Pokemon Champion's upcoming arrival is also signaling the return of all the restricted legendary Pokemon back into competitive play. Maybe not immediately, but in the near future. And with that return, I wanted to make a tier list of all of them, based on how I think they're going to perform in a double restricted format in Pokemon Champions. I'm definitely thinking that there are going to be some changes in which Pokemon are going to be better than others compared to how they were in the past. I'm going over each restricted and why they're in the tier that they're in. With that out of the way, let's get ranking. Here we have every single restricted legendary Pokemon from Gens 1 through 9. And I'm just going to get into it. Starting with Mewtwo. Instant D tier. Just use Calyrex Shadow Rider. It's just way better, it's faster, it's stronger. There's really nothing unique that Mewtwo has about it, I guess. Next is Ho-Oh. Ho-Oh's actually going to go in B tier. And I'm doing this because it matches up really well into Groudon and Xerneas, which I think is going to be one of the top teams in Champions. You resist or are immune to basically all their attacks unless they're running Rock Slide on Groudon. And you have really good special bulk too. So, I mean, you're probably not going to be taking a lot. Like, you'll also be able to resist Zacian and Zamazenta. And I think Ho is just a really good defensive tool in a Champions restricted format. Lugia, D tier. Why would you use Lugia, right? It's terrible. The only thing it's good for is like Calm Mind setup, and that's just a really terrible strategy. Has terrible typing. It's weak to a lot. Flying Psychic is just not a good typing for a defensive Pokemon. Groudon, normal Groudon, just use Primal Groudon. You don't really have a use for that when Primal Groudon's in the game. And Primal Groudon is definitely probably top 1 or top 2. Desolate Land, you have only one weakness to ground because water type moves can't work if Desolate Land is up. Your bulk is insane, especially on the physical side, and your attack stats. You could run a physical set or a special set, they both work. Primal Groudon is just really good. I mean, there's not really like any big weaknesses I see on Primal Groudon except for kind of lower than average speed, although your bulk makes up for it. Your special defense isn't the highest, but it's still really good. Sun is also going to be really good in Champions because you'll be able to pair with Photosynthesis Mons, and Sun just powers up other things like Chlorophyll and Solar Power. In Desolate Land, it's a lot of defensive utility for fire types as well. So yeah, I definitely think Groudon is, no doubt it's S tier. Normal Kyogre also going into the just use something else because you have Primal Kyogre. There's no reason to use normal Kyogre over Primal Kyogre. And Primal Kyogre is a more offensive version of Primal Groudon because Primordial Sea is definitely a more offensive ability. Just because it fizzles out fire type moves, it's not really good defensively unless you're running something like Ferrothorn or Scizor on your team that's super weak to fire type moves. It's not going to have a lot of defensive value, but it's really good because it can't be overwritten by any other weathers except for Desolate Land or Delta Stream. And something else, which will actually come up a lot later. But, I mean, you have essentially your Primal Groudon, but on the special side. Really strong special attack stat. I don't think you want to be using your physical attack stat because your special moves are better anyways. And you also have dynamic speed now, which is a big buff to Kyogre because now you can get Water Spouts fast turn 1 instead of having to wait and play more of a bulky set. You can just go all in offense. Or you could play a slow Trick Room set too. It's also good if you want to like prioritize your weather, be slower to get your weather up guaranteed. And I think Kyogre is really good. I mean, you pair with Swift Swim Pokemon too, like Mega Swampert. That's also another tool you have on Primal Kyogre. And finally, to finish out the Hoenn trio, the reason I don't have normal Rayquaza is because it's just the only thing that's different between Mega Rayquaza and normal Rayquaza is Dragon Ascent. And I think you should always have Dragon Ascent because flying is a really good type, and Dragon Ascent is probably one of the best flying type moves in the game. But yeah, 100% Rayquaza, Mega Rayquaza should be up here. It's fast, it's strong. The bulk isn't like amazing, but it's still good, especially because your Delta Stream ability gives you no weaknesses, like no flying weaknesses, which means you actually resist electric, and you're only 2 times weak to ice. And also you can run any item with the highest base stat total Pokemon in the game. You can run a special set, a mixed set, a physical set, E-Killer set. There's just so many ways you can utilize Mega Rayquaza. For normal Palkia, I'm going to put it at niche, because Water Dragon is a very unique typing. It's not bad. In this meta, it's not really good because there's going to be a lot of Dragon and Fairy types running around. But I also think that Palkia is pretty good in Dynamax, and it can probably use Hydro Vortex, the Z move, really well. It's also a really good defensive Trick Room setter. So you can kind of do Trick Room setter and half attacker. The only problem is your best water type move is Hydro Pump. Palkia Origin, I think it's probably, like, even though the stats are ranged better, I think it's worse than normal Palkia because for Origin form Palkia, you want to be a fast special attacker, and if you want something like that, just run like like even Ultra Necrozma is faster. Just run something like Xerneas or Calyrex Shadow instead of this, because again, you have the problem with Hydro Pump. It's not that accurate. So it's still, like, I feel like it could be niche, but it's worse than normal Palkia. Dialga, it's kind of the same case as these two. You have Origin Form Dialga, which is just strictly better. I'm actually going to put it in Can Work because its typing is very good. And its typing paired with the stats, you're a really good Trick Room setter. It's probably like one of the best Trick Room setters into Kyogre, Rayquaza. You resist all their moves, all their stabs. And I think it's like a really slept on Pokemon. A lot of people don't think Dialga is that good, but also you can hit Xerneas for super effective. You don't have to run a special set. You could run a physical set as well with something like Heavy Slam. And it's like low B tier, like probably going to be the lowest B tier, but I don't think it's niche. I do think it can work in this meta. Giratina, just use something else. I mean, you don't want to use Giratina. Same with Origin Form. I mean, normal one would be like a stall set, and this one would be kind of an attacking set. But you have another ghost type, Calyrex Shadow Rider, is way better than Origin Form. And you have Lunala, which is way better for a defensive set for normal form. Zekrom, I'm also going to put in niche. And it can work in Dynamax, but I don't see, like, you'd be better off using Miraidon, always. Miraidon is just the better dragon electric type. Better ability, better stats. Zekrom's super mid. So, yeah. Just use something else, use Miraidon. Reshiram. I'm going to put Reshiram in niche, because it was used in Dynamax. I think it can pair pretty well with Groudon in Sun teams. the reason Zekrom's down here is because Miraidon's better, but I don't really think there's a better pick than Reshiram here. Maybe if you want to use special attacking Primal Groudon, but I think Reshiram no, Reshiram is definitely probably going to be a niche pick. Kyurem, yeah, you're going there. You have two other forms. I think you're probably like high. Just use something else because I think Reshiram just might be better. The only reason you'd want to use Kyurem White is if you want to use a snow team, but you have the primal, so snow is going to be non-existent. Kyurem Black, really bad. I mean, there's not much you can do here. It's basically Zekrom with a worse typing. So, yeah, I just wouldn't use that. Xerneas, S tier. Like, Xerneas is going to be... It's always going to be broken, right? Geomancy, you have the best typing, amazing stats, really good ability, the best move in the game. On a restricted Pokemon, it's going to be broken. Geomancy, you have double speed, special defense, and special attack. You're going to be outspeeding both primals in Tailwind, and you're also going to be landing at least 2-hit knockouts on most of these Pokemon here. Xerneas is just really, really strong. And also you can power up things, like it has good synergy with Groudon, the typings match really well. You could pair it with something like Fluttermane to give Fluttermane Fairy Aura boost. I think it's just going to be really good. Yveltal, I think it can work. I think Dark Aura is going to be kind of strong because you have Urshifu Dark paired with Dark Aura. It's going to be doing a lot of damage. The only problem is that you have to play against Xerneas. And in Sword and Shield, when Yveltal and Urshifu Dark were legal, it wasn't that good because Zacian was everywhere, and they couldn't really do a lot to Zacian. But I think with the nerfs on Zacian, it's going to be a little more usable. So I think Yveltal can work. I think all Zygarde forms are just going to be use something else. I mean, why would you might want to use 10% if you run, oh, I don't know. Probably not. Yeah, I don't really see any use for all of these. 50% is probably just going to be the normal one for Power Construct. And Aura Break is not going to be used at all. Oh, Mega Zygarde. So niche. So niche. Yeah, you do have one of the best HP stats in the game. You have the best special attack stat in the game. But you're not that fast. You lose a lot of defense. And you have to be at half HP to, like, work. So I feel like you could possibly make this work, like, as kind of a glass cannon, but you're gonna need a lot of support. Like, I'm talking Follow Me, Hospitality. It's gonna be like the main anchor of your team. Solgaleo, I think Solgaleo is pretty good, and that's because it's a really good Pokemon in a Dynamax format. You double your HP, you can run a weakness policy set. Clear Body is really good into Incineroar. Your typing isn't, but it's a really good. It's niche. Like, weakness policy is a niche set, but it works, and I think it's pretty good at what it does. Lunala, I'm gonna put Lunala in very good. It has good synergy with Groudon. It's probably the best Trick Room setting Pokemon, like close with Calyrex Ice. But Shadow Shield is just such a good ability. You're going to be able to, like, survive a hit, probably even a double up if there's no, like, super effective hits involved, like no Dark type or Ghost type moves. And you could also run a Meteor Beam set, But I just think like the normal Trick Room Lunala set is going to be really good. Necrozma, D tier. You're niche. Duskmane is like normal Solgaleo. You can run Weakness Policy. Prism Armor makes it a little bit better, but I think Clear Body is probably more useful because your stats can be lowered. Also, you're slower. But it's basically the same thing as Solgaleo. And, yeah. Dawn Wings is also niche. You don't have Shadow Shield, which is not good for Trick Room setting. You do have stronger expanding forces, but there's also just Caloric Shadow. So it's like on the line of this. Use something else or niche because it can function in Trick Room. I think it's probably going to be like the highest niche or low can work. I'm actually going to put it low can work. Ultra Necrozma, I don't actually know a lot about it. I do know you have to run Light That Burns the Sky plus one of these forms, most likely that's going to be the Solgaleo form. Your speed is pretty decently high. It's 129, I think, which is going to be outspeeding most Pokemon. But your typing is just not that good. I mean, you're weak to Xerneas, you're weak to Lunala, you're weak to Zacian, and both Calorexes. But I think it can still work. I mean, it's not a bad Pokemon. Neuroforce is pretty good. If you run coverage, you're probably going to be doing a lot of damage. And like I said earlier, you are one of the fastest restricted Pokemon. Just use something else. No reason to use that. Zacian, I feel like it could be meta-defining, but I'm not sure. When Dynamax comes back, it's going to be good again because Behemoth Blade will have a second effect. Even with all the nerfs, I mean, it's just going to be such a big buff to Zacian. The only problem is Primal Groudon makes it really hard for Zacian to function, which means you'll probably always have to run it with Kyogre. Or you could do something like X-Ray, but with Zacian. But I think that Swordfish is going to be the most popular way of playing Zacian for sure, because these two have great synergy. Zacian can handle Xerneas and Rayquaza, which Primal Kyogre does not like, and Primal Kyogre can handle like Primal Groudon and Incineroar, which Zacian does not like. Same thing here, you don't want to use the hero form. Yeah, I think Zamazenta can work. I'd probably put it up here. The only problem is its typing is kind of mid into this meta. You don't really have that many useful resistances. But I mean, you still have wide guard support, powerful body presses, powerful heavy slams. So I think it can work on the right team. I can see it being paired with like Dark Aura Yveltal and Chen Pao. I feel like that could be a strong duo. Eternatus is niche. You have your stall set with Cosmic Power Recover, but in a restricted format, stall barely ever works. I think the set that's going to be a lot better is probably Meteor Beam. If you have like a boosted Sludge Bomb, it's still going to be doing a lot of damage to Xerneas. You're going to be able to outspeed and one-shot both of these. You're going to resist Kyogre. You are going to be weak to Precipice Blades, but I think, you know what? High niche, now that I think about it. It's high niche. Actually, can work. I'm just making him even better. Calyrex Ice is very good. It's a really good Pokemon that is a Trick Room setter and a strong Trick Room attacker. Glacial Lance is a really good move. The only problem is it's not going to do well into primals because Kyogre resists and Groudon has high physical bulk and can hit it for super effective with fire-type moves. Zacian's probably going to be on the rise, and it'll also be able to hit Calyrex for a lot, but I think if you run like some defensive Terras, you can make something work. It's still a really good Pokemon. And Glacial Lance and As-1 and the stats just make it... It's just... I can't put it in the can work because I know it will work if people run it. Shadow Rider... Yeah, I think Shadow Rider's still probably very good. It's the fastest Pokemon. There's a lot of utility in being 150 speed. You can run it as an Expanding Force user, an Astro Barrage spammer, Choice Specs, Life Orb, Focus Sash. You could run a support set. But it is kind of a glass cannon. You're not going to be doing a lot of damage to a boosted Xerneas and Kyogre, but you are going to be doing a lot of damage to the other Pokemon in the top ranks. You don't match well into Incineroar, but you can probably pair it with something like Kyogre or Terapagos maybe. That got some usage in early Reg I. And I'll get to Terapagos, because there's something special about Terapagos that I think will matter. Oh, I'm sorry, Koraidon. Former world champ has to go into D tier. The only way I can see you using Koraidon is if you pair it with Primal Groudon, but that I don't know, I don't see it happening, you know? You have normal Sun, which isn't that good. Yeah, you have high attack, but also your typing is really awful. I just don't really see Koraidon doing much into this meta at all. Look at all these Pokemon. All of them hit him for super effective, except for Primal Groudon and Primal Kyogre. Primal Kyogre usually runs Ice Beam, and you're not going to be able to do a lot to Primal Groudon because of its physical bulk. Miraidon, I'm going to put into very good. It doesn't match up great into all these Pokemon, but having electric terrain is a really good ability. Definitely better than Orichalcum Pulse because weather is going to be overwritten by primals, but terrain isn't. And you're still going to be able to one-shot a lot of things with Choice Specs Electro Drifts. So Miraidon is definitely very good here. Terapagos. The reason I'm putting it so high is because Terraform Zero, according to what I looked at, I researched this because I wasn't sure, it overwrites Primal Weather, which means it's actually going to be useful because it's basically like a Rayquaza. Except I'd say it's more bulky. You can run like a Calm Mind setup set, I think is probably the best way. Choice Specs isn't going to be doing too much, I don't think. I think a Calm Mind setup would be better just defensively and offensively. There's a lot of good special attackers here. But yeah, just because Terraform Zero overwrites these, I think it's going to be really good. Anyways, that's my Champions Restricted Legendary tier list. If you disagree with any of these, leave a comment, because that's how I can get new ideas for future things. And maybe you're right. Maybe you're right about your comment. Who knows? Anyways, yeah, that's the tier list. That it was. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. I mean, that makes sense, right? If you like the video, like the video. I will be making a tier list of all the new Megas from Pokemon Legends ZA once we find out what all their abilities are, so I hope to see you there. Thanks for watching.